Welcome back to the corner flag. Gonna do a solo session here today. What a week of Premier League football, honestly. From Man City's demolition to Bournemouth to the controversy in both the Newcastle-Arsenal game and the Spurs-Chelsea game. Not to mention the standout result, Liverpool dropping points to Luton. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. But we're going to start this episode with United's late winner at Fulham. I don't know how Erik ten Hag is still in the job, in all honesty. I think if he didn't win this game against Fulham, and if he even lost his next Champions League game, he was going to be gone. I still believe that the games against Copenhagen and Luton will still determine his future. But yes, Fulham, unfortunately, being victim to a late Bruno Fernandes goal. It was a game that lacked any real quality, but that Bruno Fernandes goal, in all honesty, even though he got it in a very crappy clearance from Fulham, the way he created that goal, just very good, and that was quality. And that was the second season in a row now when Manchester United got a late winner at Craven Cottage. Overall, Fulham were poor, United just less poor. United's man of the match, well, I would personally give it to Harry Maguire. I don't think that the man was 100% fit in that game. In the early few minutes, in the early stages of the game, the man, I think, literally got concussed. He shouldn't have been playing that game. He didn't look right, but yet he still managed to keep a clean sheet at Craven Cottage and had a very good performance. He's actually had a couple of good performances recently, so massive congratulations to Harry Maguire. But yeah, even the main talking point from that Manchester United game was the subjective offside. I think, and me personally, I'm not just saying this as a Liverpool fan, I think that was offside. I think that Harry Maguire does interfere with play there, and I think that the Fulham player was definitely going to get the ball, but that's just me personally. You might have a different opinion, but that's football. Football is all about opinions. But yes, that's another game now when Manchester United's goal scorer hasn't been an attacker. It's another midfielder who's on the scoring sheet for Man United. I think Manchester United's attack this season has really been very shocking. I think Mo Salah, since Liverpool's 7-0 thrashing at Manchester United, Mo Salah has gotten more goals than United's front line. And I'm pretty sure this season Darwin Núñez has more goals than United's front line combined as well. And I thought that United were having a poor season, right? I don't think it's poor anymore considering that they're only 6 points behind Arsenal and Liverpool. And Arsenal and Liverpool are considered title challengers while United are finished. I think maybe United aren't really that down in the dumps yet. Moving over to the absolute destruction that happened at the Etihad Stadium. Man City 6, Bournemouth 1. What a game that was for a specific player. Jeremy Doku, he absolutely lit up the stage against Bournemouth. A player that a lot of people hyped up after the Euros. Well, I think he's living up to the hype. Maybe at Rennes, he never really had that many goals and assists. He wasn't really a threat in front of goal, but now, obviously, he's maturing and he's advancing his game under one of the best managers of all time, Pep Guardiola. Haaland didn't show up, but Jeremy Doku said, don't worry, Haaland, you can sit back for this one. 1 goal, 4 assists. Out of the 6 goals that Man City scored, the man was literally involved in 5 of them. And you know what? We mentioned it in one of the earlier episodes. We said that Jeremy Doku is like the same threat level as Riyad Mahrez. He offers the same level of threat. Like, I think he's a solid 8 out of 10 threat level. And I feel like he's a lot more direct as well. He doesn't necessarily drop in. I think he waits for Man City to feed him the ball and then they just expect him to do some magic, which he always delivers. Man City were looking for their 13th straight win against Bournemouth. Guess what? They got it. No shock. I feel like Man City thrashing Bournemouth at the Etihad is a regular occurrence now. It's an annual thing. Bournemouth defended quite well for the best part of 30 minutes. But boy, oh boy, Jeremy Doku just... Take a bow, son. This is a player that Pep Guardiola has highly praised this season, talking about his eagerness to learn and improve. I feel sorry for Jack Grealish. There's no way Jack Grealish is going to be a starter in important games for Man City this season. No chance. These are just some of the records that Jeremy Doku picked up this weekend. Jeremy Doku becomes the youngest player to provide 4 assists in a Premier League game. He also becomes the youngest player to be directly involved in 5 or more goals in a Premier League game. Also, just to touch on a specific someone, Rodri. Yeah, when Man City were having their small dip in form this season, Rodri wasn't playing, right? Rodri is now unbeaten in each of his last 38 games across all competitions for Manchester City. 38 games. Along those 38 games, he's also obviously picked up 4 trophies. Like, I know a CDM is a very important position, but for Man City to have their most important player be a CDM, that's crazy, man. So obvious that Manchester City miss him when he's not there. And now with that 6-1 win, Manchester City are outright number 1. Don't get me wrong, it's still a very, very tight table, but you just don't want to see Manchester City in the driving seat, man. It's like you want them to chase. Moving on to the controversial game of the weekend. Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0. Anthony Gordon scoring the only goal, but hey, what a goal that was. I don't think I've ever seen a VAR decision have 3 sections. And now a lot of Arsenal fans are furious. And not just Arsenal fans, the Arsenal manager, MIKEL Arteta. You know what, I do show sympathy to a lot of the teams, even if it's Manchester United, if a VAR decision goes against them. But this VAR decision, I don't think went against Arsenal. And the thing is, Arsenal even put out a statement. MIKEL Arteta went on a whole rant. And now I don't agree with this. And as a Liverpool fan, you must be wondering, why don't you agree with this? Your club literally did the same thing against Spurs. Well, the difference between what we did against Spurs and what Arsenal are busy doing with Newcastle is that when Liverpool did their statement and when Liverpool asked questions, you could see it was 100% a factual error done by the Premier League referees. Like, they made a human error. It's a fact. And that did cost us the game. If anything, it right now costed Liverpool being the only team in the Premier League to have a 100% record, because we would have definitely drawn that game. So I can understand Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp asking questions to the PGMOL. But MIKEL Arteta and Arsenal, listen, the ball being over the line, that is not 100% factual. We don't 100% know whether that ball crossed the line or not. I don't think that the whole ball crossed over the whole of the line. Now, you might have a different opinion, and that's completely okay. Just understand that a very similar situation happened in the World Cup when Japan versed Spain. Everyone thought that the ball crossed over the line, while different angles show different perspectives, and that's the word I want to emphasize today. Perspective. Like, you have to understand that the ball is round. So yeah, when it comes to the ball being over the line, I don't think you can blame any refs. I don't think you can blame any VAR. Now, the subjective one is, was it a foul on Gabriel? Now, this, I say, is subjective again, because unless you actually played the game and unless you're a defender as well, then you won't perfectly understand what Gabriel was busy trying to do. I think he is midway through a header, like a clearance header. And yes, I do agree that Joe Linton does, have both hands on him. He may have pushed him also, but we don't know. We can't tell how hard he's pushed. Now, I would still give the benefit of the doubt to Gabriel. So meaning, if I was in the VAR room, I would have said that's a foul. And I would have said that this goal does not stand. But that's just me personally, again. But you have to be able to understand that it was a subjective call. There was nothing factual that Joe Linton did foul Gabriel there. Then when it came to the offsides, obviously that's also something that's just unfortunate. Now, there weren't enough camera angles to see whether or not Gordon was going to be onside. So now, after analyzing all three sections of this VAR call, there's no clear and obvious error done by the VAR. This is completely night and day compared to what Liverpool experienced with Tottenham. And listen, at the end of the day, Arsenal just didn't play well. They didn't show up at St. James's Park. Arsenal are usually much more direct, and usually if Odegaard isn't in the starting 11, then you still got Martinelli and Saka on the wings to try and create a goal for you. So the thing is, Martinelli and Saka didn't show up. Arsenal in general just weren't good enough, and Kai Havertz, if anything, his highlight was that tackle on Sean Longstaff. And now, yeah, that is something else I want to talk about. I think that the referee still had a very poor game. Not the VAR, but the referee, Stuart Atwell. You as a referee, you should be noticing these things. I think Kai Havertz went in recklessly, 2 feet off the ground, full speed. Sean Longstaff could have seriously got hurt there. That should have been a red card. But not even that. Let's talk about the fact that Bruno Guimaraes elbowed Jorginho in the back of the head. And he was aiming that elbow. Where was Rani ready to elbow this guy? Okay, so now maybe Stuart Atwell didn't see that. Now maybe there you can talk about the VAR. And why didn't the VAR step in? Because that was serious foul play with intent. So yeah, that game was just a mess. But you know what? As a neutral, entertaining, I didn't mind it at all. I loved it. But obviously, if Arsenal was Liverpool in that situation, I would have hated it. I'll tell you straight. Then just to wrap up on Arsenal versus Newcastle, MIKEL Arteta, man. I think the man had a serious meltdown. And you know what? As a neutral, entertaining as hell again. Sometimes this is just what you want to see as a football fan. You don't want to just see two people playing a game of chess. You want to see some passion, some emotion. And that's what this Newcastle versus Arsenal game brought. I do think that MIKEL Arteta did go a bit far though. He was calling the VAR and the referees a disgrace. He was busy saying it's an embarrassment. The thing is, when questioned about why the goal shouldn't stand, he didn't give a specific reason. He just said for multiple reasons. He couldn't say that the whole of the ball went over the whole of the line. He couldn't say that Joe Linton fouled Gabriel. Maybe it was just in the heat of the moment. I mean, Newcastle did end Arsenal's unbeaten run in the Premier League this season. Now transitioning over to Luton 1, Liverpool 1. Oh my goodness, this is so difficult to watch as a Liverpool fan. I'll be honest with you. I was a bit arrogant before the game. I thought Liverpool were going to win minimum 3-0. I thought it was going to be a comfortable game. But then I realized while we were playing there, when it's teams like Luton, right, they know in order to survive in the Premier League, they need at least a point against the top 6. So what they will do is they'll sit back. When you realize that the bottom clubs will sit back, you can't be giving 3-0. You should know that it will be a tough game, and that's what Luton did. Luton sat back and they counted us, and that's how they ended up scoring as well. Luis Diaz scored that equalizer in the 5th minute of stoppage time as Liverpool denied Luton Town a first home win in the Premier League. At least we denied them their first home win in the Premier League, because imagine Liverpool was the team to give them the first home win in the Premier League. I would have cried. But you know what? I was very upset. For those of y'all that watched the match reactions, y'all would have seen even when Luis Diaz scored that late equalizer, I didn't celebrate really. I clapped. I was happy that Luis Luis Diaz was the one that scored because obviously what he's going through in his personal life, I wish him all of the best and I hope everything is okay with him. The fact that he was the guy that helped us avoid embarrassment, I was very happy because it was him. But the performance against Luton was not good at all. The result is not acceptable. If you want to win the Premier League, Liverpool fans know this. We've lost the Premier League because of games like this. So excuse me when I panic and when I say that Liverpool's title hopes are now over, because that's what I did on my socials. I think I can say it. This isn't me being reactionary. This isn't me overreacting as well. I think Liverpool won't win the Premier League this season. If you guys aren't following me there on TikTok or Instagram, then please do follow because I upload instant match reactions and everything. So make sure you follow me there. But yeah, I did say that Liverpool, their title hopes are over. Because you can't have performances like that and you can't miss the chances that we missed. Like Darwin Núñez, you can't have a striker that misses chances like that and expect to win the Premier League. Unfortunately not. Because, okay, fair enough, Darwin Núñez didn't step up. Now I'm looking at Jota. Jota had a good game, but he didn't really contribute when it came to scoring goals. Mo Salah was also invisible against Luton. I would give partial blame to Klopp for that also because I don't think we attacked much through Salah. But you know what? Maybe I am a bit harsh on Liverpool because it's not to say that we didn't create chances. We created chances, we just couldn't score. And I'm upset because we didn't score. Diaz's goal, right, was Liverpool's 24th and final shot. 24th shot. We scored on the last shot. 24 shots though. And the thing is, out of the 24, Darwin Núñez had 9 of the shots. He hit the post. Unlucky. He did very well to bring the ball down and take a shot. But it's that one in the 6-yard box. Darwin Núñez, we love you. We'll support you no matter what. But you can't keep on doing that. You really can't. It's like he doesn't want to score the easy goals. He only wants to score bangers. Liverpool are now still only 3 points behind Manchester City because obviously Spurs dropped points and Arsenal. And now after Spurs' loss, I think I can safely say Liverpool are still in this title race. We're still in it. Okay, at least for now. However, it's all dependent on what we do in January. I think Liverpool seriously need a number 6. Alexis McAllister, what a player he is. One of the most technical players I've ever seen at Liverpool. However, he's not a number 6. You can't play him as a number 6. But I just don't think he's capable of that. Maybe in a double pivot. But as a single pivot, I don't think he can do it. Unfortunately, Liverpool's midfield were also their downfall because players like Szoboszlai, who you expect to have a very good game. Unfortunately, he didn't have that good of a game against Luton, but we can excuse him because he's had a lot of good games. If anything, he's had 8 out of 10s leading up to this game, so we can excuse Szoboszlai. So once again, if Liverpool do want to be in this title race come, in February and March, we need that CDM in January. And now the final game of the week, Spurs against Chelsea. Now listen, Spurs, I think it's just justice, man. After what Liverpool went through just last month, and the fact that a lot of your fans, they didn't care. They were laughing at us. The fact that James Maddison was mocking Trent. The fact that Romero was mocking Alexis McAllister. I think that this was justice. And you know what? I'm so happy that Mauricio Pochettino was the guy to end your unbeaten streak as well. Ange Postecoglou's last 52 games before this game against Chelsea, he was undefeated. Game 53, gets his first loss in 53 games. Mauricio Pochettino seriously ended that streak. But obviously, Mauricio Pochettino didn't just end that streak as well, because Spurs were on a 10-game unbeaten run this season, and now obviously he's ended that as well. Mauricio Pochettino returns to his former side and ends both unbeaten streaks in what was a very, very crazy game. And you know what? The thing is, Ange Postecoglou can't sit here and be surprised. With those tactics, how could you have expected to win Chelsea or at least survive with a draw? Liverpool was there not even a month ago. You could have literally just copied and pasted the same blueprint and you could have maybe kept your unbeaten streaks. But no, Spurs still played with their high line. The thing is, they've been playing with a high line this whole season. But the thing that really cost it for them was the fact that their midfield also dropped back. You can't play a high line and your midfield drop back, because now what you are left with is just a straight line of players. And then it's like a 7-1. Spurs are playing with a 7-1 formation. On top of that, you don't even have the usual players. You don't have Romero and Van de Ven. So you're playing with Højbjerg and Dyer. Those guys, you can't play a high line with those guys as your centre-backs. So Ange Postecoglou, he probably tried to become some genius. It backfired. It just cost them the game. They shouldn't have lost 4-1. Even if it was 2-1, it would have been at least respectable. But the fact that he done these tactics and it made Spurs now lose 4-1, it's embarrassing. To Chelsea, the fact that you let Nicholas Jackson score a hat-trick against you, man. Unacceptable there. He now becomes just one of 3 Chelsea players to have scored a hat-trick against Spurs. He has also become the 3rd youngest player to score a hat-trick for Chelsea in the Premier League. And the thing is, if you just saw those stats, you would have thought maybe Chelsea had a very good game and Nicholas Jackson was running the show. But no, even though Chelsea won 4-1, I would still say that that performance was more embarrassing for Chelsea than it was for Spurs. Chelsea were given chance after chance after chance. They're lucky. They should have won that game 7-1. Tottenham literally set up a training session for Chelsea to try and work their long balls, to try and work on beating the offside trap. That's what Tottenham did. It felt like watching a pro clubs game. It felt like I was watching someone play FIFA and they were doing some sort of glitch. But obviously the big concerns for Spurs now is the fact that Van der Ven looks like he may have really hurt his hamstring. I think you're talking months now for his recovery. From what I saw, the way he reacted, I don't think that was just your ordinary hamstring pull. I think that may have been a tear. So Van der Ven, we're talking months now until he comes back. And now you got Christian Romero, who straight red. Romero's straight red means that he misses an away game at Wolves. That might be a bit tricky. He's also going to be missing a game against Aston Villa. Aston Villa also very dangerous this season. But the big one is the fact that he's going to miss Manchester City away. And on top of that, you also got Udogie, who's going to miss the first game now at the game against Wolves. And on top of that, you still got James Maddison, who might be injured as well. Now, I don't know how long his injury might take, but it's seriously not looking good, bruv. It is when they were having such a good season. Can they still survive these next 3 games? If they can end up getting 7 out of 9 points, Spurs are serious title challengers now. And now to shine some light on Chelsea, I think that game against Brentford can be seen as a blump. You can now maybe say that that game against Brentford was like an outlier. You know, Chelsea's been having a good run of form lately. That game against Brentford, maybe that was just a slip. Because if you look at Chelsea's form, I mean, that's not bad. But I wouldn't say Chelsea are back. I say after watching that game, the fact that they couldn't really put Spurs away sooner. I mean, 2 out of the goals came within stoppage time for Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea are still far from where they want to be. And I think even Mauricio Pochettino got so upset with Chelsea, the fact that they couldn't, end off Spurs sooner. But yeah, that's this week's Premier League Big Six recap. I think the Premier League season is still wide open. I do think that MIKEL ARTETA overreacted, but it's alright because he speaks his mind, which is something that I do like. Because Jurgen Klopp does it. I feel like a lot of other managers just give robotic responses. At least Jurgen Klopp isn't alone this season. And Postecoglou, I like the way he conducts himself in interviews. I like the fact that MIKEL ARTETA is so passionate. So it's very entertaining. Manchester United are still in need of their clinical striker. Are they going to keep Højlund? Are they going to try and maybe get him a partner in January? Who knows? Will Manchester City slip up again? And will Liverpool be able to respond to dropping points against Luton? All these questions will be answered in the next recap episode. Okay, so I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to like, subscribe. Take care.